Have you ever felt like you're about to give up? Like everything is going wrong and there's no way out of the darkness? Stay with me for a moment, because this story will make you think twice about the power of faith. Sparkles, subscribe now and join me on this journey full of hope. Sparkles. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of Lucas, a young man who thought he had reached the end of his path, until God arrived just in time to change everything. Lucas lived in a small town, in a modest home that, though simple, was filled with love. But times were hard. He had lost his job at the factory months ago, and hope was slipping away with each passing day. The growing pile of debts was suffocating him, and his faith was slowly fading. One night, when the anxiety wouldn't let him sleep, Lucas knelt beside his bed and, with a trembling voice, asked God for something that seemed impossible, a miracle. He didn't know how or when, but he needed to know he wasn't alone. "Lord, where are you?" he whispered with tear-filled eyes. "My faith is tired, but my heart is still searching for a sign. Will you hear me?" But instead of an immediate answer, the darkness remained silent. However, just when he thought all was lost, something incredible happened. Sparkles, can you imagine how God can show up at the most unexpected moment? Keep watching, and don't forget to like this video if this story is touching your heart. Dawn began to break, and Lucas, exhausted from overthinking, finally managed to fall asleep. But what happened in that dream changed his life forever. He dreamed of an old man, dressed in simple clothes, with a deep gaze full of wisdom. The man slowly approached him and, without saying a word, reached out his hand. "I've been waiting for you, my son," the old man said in a calm but firm voice. "You are not alone, and you never will be. The answer you seek is near. You just have to trust in the right moment." Lucas woke up abruptly, his heart racing, yet filled with an unexplainable peace. Deep inside, he knew something big was about to happen, but reality was still harsh. The bills kept piling up, and his hope began to fade once more. The next day didn't start any differently, until, as he walked down the street, something unexpected happened. A small sign in a local shop window caught his eye. "Help wanted at the downtown restaurant. Immediate work available." Lucas didn't think twice. Maybe he thought this was the opportunity God had placed in his path. However, when he arrived at the restaurant and asked about the job, the owner looked at him with suspicion, as if unsure whether to give him a chance. But before he could say anything, an older man sitting at a table stood up and walked over. "What brings you here?" the man asked with a kind smile. "I'm looking for a job," Lucas replied, unable to hide the desperation in his voice. "I don't know what else to do. I'm in a really tough situation." The old man looked him in the eyes, and in that moment Lucas felt something strange, a kind of deep connection. "Today is your day, son," the man said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, God has a plan for you, and today is just the beginning." Folded hands. If this story moved your heart, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's keep discovering Lucas's purpose together. The older man was none other than the owner of the restaurant, and his deep gaze didn't lie. Without asking for any more details about Lucas's situation, he took him under his wing. "Come with me," he said with a smile. "I'll make a place for you here. God always arrives just in time." That very afternoon, Lucas began working at the restaurant, though still uncertain and lacking confidence. The shift was full of stress, but also full of moments that offered him something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The restaurant had a warm atmosphere, the staff welcomed him kindly, and for the first time in a long while, Lucas began to believe that maybe things weren't so bad after all. As the afternoon wore on, something strange happened. While Lucas was cleaning a table near the window, He noticed a man who looked like a homeless wanderer standing outside, staring into the restaurant with hunger in his eyes. His clothes were dirty and torn, and he looked completely lost. Without thinking twice, Lucas stepped outside to meet him. "Would you like to come in and have something to eat?" Lucas asked, not caring about the curious glances from others. The man looked at him in surprise, then slowly nodded. Once inside, Lucas led him to a table. "Don't worry about the money," he whispered, as the man looked at the menu like he couldn't believe what was happening. "Thank you," the man said in a broken voice. "I have no idea how to repay you." Not long after, the restaurant owner, the same elderly man Lucas had met, approached and observed the interaction. He seemed to have noticed the exchange between Lucas and the homeless man. "That was a good deed, Lucas," the old man said with a calm smile. "Sometimes, giving without expecting anything in return is what opens the doors to miracles." Lucas smiled humbly. He didn't fully understand what the man meant, but something inside him felt different. His heart beat stronger, and a spark of light began to shine within him. At the end of the shift, the old man approached Lucas once more and, with a knowing look, said, "Today you've done much more than a simple act of kindness. You've opened a path for yourself. Do you see it now? God arrived just in time." Folded hands if you've ever experienced a miracle. Let us know in the comments. And remember, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. The day came to an end, and Lucas returned to his small room in the boarding house where he was staying. The old man's words echoed in his mind. God arrived just in time. Was that what had really happened? Had today been a miracle? That night, as he got ready for bed, Lucas closed his eyes and whispered a prayer. "Lord, I don't know how to thank you for this day, but I ask you to keep guiding me. If all of this has a purpose, I want to see it clearly." The next day, Lucas continued working at the restaurant, but something had changed inside him. The desperation that once drowned him was slowly beginning to fade. He felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Then, something even more amazing happened. In the middle of the afternoon, a customer walked into the restaurant. He was a businessman, well-dressed, with a serious expression. He sat down and ordered a coffee. When Lucas approached to serve him, there was something oddly familiar about the man, though he couldn't place it. The man looked at him for a moment and then, without warning, asked, "Are you Lucas? The young man who lost his job at the factory a few months ago, right?" Lucas was stunned. How could this man possibly know that? "Yes, that's me." "How do you know?" he asked, slightly confused. The man smiled and showed him a business card. "I'm the owner of the factory that shut down, and I want to offer you an opportunity. I need someone with your work ethic. I've been looking for someone with your heart, someone who's not afraid to give, even when they don't have much." Lucas was speechless. Was this what the old man had spoken about? Was God working through the people he was meeting on his journey? The man continued, "Don't worry about the salary. I want you on my team. You're exactly the kind of person we need." Lucas felt a wave of emotion, awe, gratitude, and a growing understanding of what had been unfolding. This was the answer to his prayer, the miracle he had asked for. God had arrived just in time, not only to give him a job, but to restore his faith. "I accept," said Lucas, his voice trembling. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you." Folded hands, if this moment moved you as much as it did me, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. This story still has much more to offer. The following days were a whirlwind of change for Lucas. Not only had he started a new job, but he also felt that a new chapter of his life was beginning to take shape. Despite the uncertainty, a peace he had never experienced before settled in his heart. Each day he spent at the restaurant Lucas saw the power of faith in action. The work was hard, but the smiles of the customers and the support from his coworkers kept him motivated. He felt more connected to God than ever before, as if everything he had gone through in recent months had been part of a divine plan, guided by his invisible hand. One afternoon, while Lucas was wiping down a table, the elderly owner of the restaurant, the man who had become something of a guiding light in his life, approached him with a wise smile and said, "You see, son, God is never late, not even in the darkest moments. He's always waiting for the right time, the one we least expect, and all we need to do is trust." Lucas looked at the old man, who now seemed more like a figure of heavenly wisdom than just a man, and felt deeply grateful. He remembered that desperate night when he had nearly lost all hope, and how God had responded in his perfect timing. A few days later, Lucas once again saw the homeless man he had helped. He spotted him sitting on the bench outside the restaurant. But this time something was different. Though still wearing worn clothes, the man looked changed. His face showed peace, and his eyes sparkled with a light they hadn't had before. The man stood up when he saw Lucas and, with a humble smile, said, "Thank you, young man, because you didn't just give me food. You gave me something much greater, hope. The Lord led me to you, and now I know that no matter how low I've fallen, God still has a purpose for me. I'm not alone." Lucas, moved to tears, replied, "It's not just you. God has a purpose for all of us, even if we don't always understand it in the moment. But He always arrives just in time." Folded hands, if this story touched your heart, give it a like and share your experience with us. God is working in each of us, and we must never lose sight of His power. Time passed, and Lucas's life kept transforming in ways he could never have imagined. Working at the restaurant not only gave him financial stability, but also offered him the opportunity to serve others, something he had never valued so deeply before. Every customer who walked through the door seemed to be a reminder that God had orchestrated everything perfectly, connecting the pieces of his life at just the right moment. One afternoon, as Lucas was leaving work, he saw the elderly restaurant owner again, this time sitting in a chair on the terrace. His face, always serene, seemed to radiate a peace that Lucas couldn't fully comprehend. "Lucas," the old man said, inviting him to sit beside him, "you've taken many important steps, and you've learned more about faith in these past few months than many people learn in a lifetime. But the most important thing I want you to remember is this: faith isn't always measured by great miracles or immediate answers. Sometimes, the greatest transformation comes from knowing that God is with us in the smallest and seemingly insignificant moments." Lucas listened closely, absorbing every word. The old man continued, "True faith is the kind that believes even when we can't see the end of the road. And that kind of faith, my son, will always carry you forward because God is always with us. He always shows up right on time." Lucas nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. He knew he hadn't just received a new opportunity in life. He had found something far more valuable: a deeper relationship with God. The next day, when Lucas arrived at the restaurant to begin his shift, he noticed something different in the air. The old man wasn't there, and that struck him as odd. He decided to ask his coworkers about him. "He's been feeling a little unwell lately," one of the employees explained. "But don't worry, he's always been strong, and it's nothing serious. He's just resting." Lucas felt concerned, but he remembered the old man's words. He wasn't just a businessman. He was a guide that God had placed in his life at the perfect time, and his wisdom would stay with him forever. Folded hands, is this story touching your heart? If God has ever shown up just in time for you during a difficult moment, leave a comment and share your experience. And don't forget to subscribe for more faith-filled stories that will inspire you. Time kept moving forward, and although Lucas still missed the old man, His teachings continued to guide him with every step he took. He had learned to have faith not only in the big moments, but also in the small details of daily life. Every customer, every smile he shared with someone, every sincere conversation at the restaurant reminded him that the purpose of his life was much greater than just working or surviving. There was something deeper, his relationship with God and with others. One afternoon, as he was leaving the restaurant, Lucas saw an elderly woman struggling to carry some heavy bags. Without thinking, he ran over to her and offered his help. "Thank you, son," the woman said with a smile. "I don't know what I would have done without someone like you." In that moment, Lucas remembered the words of the old man. True faith is shown through acts of love and service, especially when no one is watching. When you help others, you're not just giving them something material, you're giving them something that can change their lives. Hope. As he helped the woman walk, Lucas felt a deep peace in his heart. God had led him to this moment, just when he needed a reminder of what truly mattered. The love and kindness we give without expecting anything in return. The next day, while he was at work, Lucas received an unexpected call. It was the man from the factory who had hired him, the man who had changed his destiny. "Lucas, I've been thinking about you," the voice on the other end began. "I want to offer you a more important position at the factory. I've seen you grow, and I want you to be part of something bigger. This is only the beginning for you." Lucas couldn't believe what he was hearing. Could his life really be changing so quickly? Once again, a wave of gratitude washed over him. God had reached him in a way he never could have imagined, leading him from darkness into light, all in his perfect timing. With a mind full of thoughts and a heart overflowing with gratitude, Lucas lifted a silent prayer. "Thank you, Lord, for showing up right on time. Thank you for every blessing, for every lesson. Now I know that everything that has happened had a purpose." Glowing star, if you've ever felt that God showed up just in time in your life, share it with us in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more faith-filled stories that will inspire you to keep trusting Him. The days turned into weeks and the weeks into months. Lucas was undergoing a deep transformation, not just in his external situation, but also within. His relationship with God grew stronger every day, and the peace he felt enveloped him like a warm blanket. Although life continued to be a challenge, he now knew he didn't have to face it alone. One day, while returning home after his shift at the restaurant, Lucas ran into the old man again. This time, the man didn't seem as fragile as before. His face radiated renewed energy, and his gaze, though gentle, conveyed deep wisdom. "Lucas," the old man said with a smile in his eyes, "I've been watching you, and I want you to know something very important. What you've experienced so far is not the end, but only the beginning of what God has prepared for you." Lucas, moved, listened attentively. "I've learned so much from you, but I still don't understand everything that's happening. Why me? Why did God choose me for this path?" The old man looked at him steadily and replied with a calm smile. "Because you had a heart willing to be transformed. Because you believed even when everything seemed lost. And because your faith, though small at first, has grown and become something powerful. God is never late, Lucas. He arrives right on time, when we need Him the most." Lucas couldn't hold back the tears. For the first time, he understood that his journey had not only been about finding a job or improving his material life. It was a lesson in faith, love, and trust in God's perfect plan. Seeing Lucas' tears, the old man placed a hand on his shoulder and said gently, "This is only the beginning. Now, it's your turn to share what you've learned, to be a light to others as you were to me." Lucas nodded, his smile full of gratitude. He knew that God had used him to make a difference in others' lives, and now it was his turn to do the same. God had arrived right on time for him, and now he was ready to share that same hope with the world. If this story has touched your heart, share it with those who also need to know that God always arrives right on time. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to keep being inspired by more stories of faith and hope. Thank you for being part of this journey. God bless you.